We had our empanadas, and now it's time to continue the exploration. Empanadas are good fuel for cenotes. Hey guys, it's Mario here, coming at you from the Cenote Cristalino. This is very famous here in this part of Mexico. Basically, it's pools and caves and places where the water comes from the underground, and it's super clean, nice, crystal clear nature. Great to be outside a little bit, to de-stress, to get some activity going outside of the gym and outside of the house from working so much and editing these videos. And I also wanted to add some content for you guys, some quality stuff. And we're going to talk a bit about water retention and how to recognize when that water retention is happening to you when you're losing fat, because this is a huge mistake that I'll see a lot of guys making. They can't recognize these symptoms of water retention, which leads them to make a poor decision. They undercut the calories or cut the diet, and they think the diet doesn't work, things like that. So we're going to talk a bit about that in terms of the content. Aside from that, I'm super excited to see the cenote, as well as to show you guys a little bit around this beautiful place here in Mexico. So let's get it going. All right, so I'm coming at you from a beautiful cenote here in Mexico. I'm shooting this one on the little GoPro here, so I'm not sure about the quality. Hope it is good for you guys. Hope you can actually get a little bit of a feel for the nature here, because running out a little bit of the city is an awesome thing to do. I think even just looking at all this green stuff around me, at the clear water and at everything, just makes that stress response go down a little bit, and it's awesome and great. And I want to talk to you guys a little bit about that water retention. As I said before, it's something that I see a lot of guys make a mistake with. They adjust their diet even though they've been successfully losing fat, but it has been masked by water retention. So how can we deal with that? Well, there's a bunch of great articles out there in this. I'm going to link a couple in the description below. One is from Martin Berkham's site, Lean Gains. I'm going to link that. There's two parts on where he talks about how to deal with water retention. It's a very good article back from 2010. That's where I first got introduced to the whole concept. Then we have a couple of articles about Lyle McDonald. I'm going to link those in the description below as well for you guys that want to read more about this. But the thing is, how do you diagnose that you have water retention? How do you know what is water retention and what is kind of the diet needs to get more into a deficit or add more activity? How do you separate the two? Well, an easy way to do that, and kind of what I found looking how my clients are progressing and looking at my own diets, is a couple of things. So number one, if you've been consistently losing weight on an average basis, so let's say you have 4 or 5 weigh-ins in a week, and you kind of compare averages on a week-to-week basis, and you've been losing weight, let's say half a kilo to a kilo, let's say a pound to 2 pounds, maybe a little bit all over the place, but it's kind of like steady going down. There's a sign that it's going down, it's trending downwards. But all of a sudden it's zero. So you're not losing any weight. There's no change in weight whatsoever, maybe even an increase, while you're still on point with your diet. And this all is assuming that you're on point with your diet. If you're not on point with your diet, if you're not on point with your calories and your macros, well, this of course doesn't apply. But let's say you are, and then all of a sudden there's a flat on the scale, there's no progress, it's probably water retention. And now, how do you further diagnose this? We go to step 2, where you would look into, did you get any extra stress that week? Did you get any stressful event happen to you? Did some different foods change in your diet? Did you all of a sudden eat something that might draw more water? Let's say something that has a little bit more sodium. If you went for Italian food, if you had a huge pizza, if you had some pasta, you probably get more water because you've ate those foods, and that can skew your data a little bit. And it's not to panic. I mean, we have to kind of bring it back and realize that, let's say you overate, you ate a meal, and even you screwed up. It's a little bit difficult to gain a lot of body fat at once. You know, it's not that easy. Even if you eat, let's say, extra 3,500 calories, I mean, above your set deficit, that's probably not gonna all go to body fat. It's probably not all gonna go to, let's say, some of it will go to muscle mass, some of it is gonna just be extra water, just a temporary gain, and just a very tiny amount of body fat, even if you went over your calories by a very large amount. And now going back at the water retention effect, it's usually caused by lack of sleep. Something happened, maybe you were stressed at work, maybe something in your relationship with someone or something like that, which kind of got that cortisol up. And since that cortisol went up, now the water retention effect is even enhanced. And what happens here is a lot of people, they start undercutting calories further, they add more activity, and now that extra activity and those extra calories even more increase that cortisol, which adds even more water, which makes it even more difficult to see whether your diet is working or not. And a lot of people give up at this point because they're thinking, well, oh man, I'm eating 1,200 calories and I'm not losing weight and my maintenance is 2,500. And of course, for the maintenance, I'm gonna leave a link in the description below for you guys that wanna calculate your maintenance and all these other things that I've talked about before. This is very critical for you to know how to set up your diet, is how to calculate your calorie maintenance, as well as to know how to modify that over time. But a critical factor with those modifications is knowing when it's water retention, when it's fat loss. So keep in mind to track everything, to log everything and see whether that weight loss is just flat out, all of a sudden, out of the blue, you're not losing any weight and you were losing weight on a regular basis. So it's probably water retention there. And then the second thing is a little bit trusting the process and having that patience that maybe something, I mean, just looking back, if you have that level of self-awareness, you will see that it is oftentimes something stressful. Maybe you slept like 4 or 5 hours, which added more cortisol. You ate a little bit more carbs that day or something like that, which then changed the composition of your body, but just in terms of gaining more water weight. So it's not actual body fat that you've gained. And a lot of times actually people lose a lot of weight in the beginning when they drop the carbs and they think that's body fat. That's not even body fat. So the changes happen a little bit slower than we would like it to be. And that's often the case with dieting, where people are expecting massive changes. And we know that, I mean, if you look at very rapid diets like Lyle McDonald's Rapid Fat Loss Handbook, I mean, we're talking about very low deficits and I mean, huge deficits, very low intakes of calories, and people, I mean, still there. It's a lot of people are like, what? I mean, I'm just supposed to eat this little amount of calories and I'm not gonna lose this much fat, you know? That whole myth of losing 20 pounds in a week, man, that's, I think that a lot of us still believe that. And a lot of us still have kind of that belief that there might be some kind of trick out there that will result in 20 pounds of fat lost in like a couple of weeks, which is really difficult and practically impossible through dieting. So make sure to kind of look at it in a realistic way, whether you're losing is between 0.5 to 1.5% of your body weight per week. That's a really good place to be, as well as depends on how much body fat you have. Obviously, if someone who is having a lot of body fat on them, they can lose a lot more body fat and get away with it, quote unquote, because now they can go into a more severe deficit with a less of risk of muscle loss. And because there's so much body fat and your body can actually use that body fat now to burn it off, while if you're already a fairly lean individual, you might not want to go that aggressive because there's a limit of how much fat can actually be turned into energy, so you might risk some muscle loss there. So something I want to share with you guys here in terms of water retention. It's a huge issue. A lot of it is just solved by patience and just waiting for 3 to 4 weeks instead of just making decisions on a day-to-day basis, which I see a lot of people doing. So wait it out, 3 to 4 weeks. A really cool kind of a book, and if you want to read more about it, check out this Minnesota starvation experiment, where they put guys on a starvation diet, and in the beginning they were losing weight fairly linear, but after a while it just turned into all over the place. You know, it just was very unpredictable. But halfway there throughout the experiment, people were literally starving in this experiment. They gave them a huge refeed. So that's one way you can kind of push that water retention, kind of flush the water, is by doing a couple of days of refeeding or a diet break, where you would reintroduce the carbs, you would kind of lower that stress because you're no longer in a caloric deficit. And what happened in Minnesota starvation experiment is these guys were waking up in the middle of the night to pee multiple times, and they just flushed out pounds and pounds of weight now because they were holding on so much water because of that stress-induced water retention. And that's one thing you can do with the refeeds, is you can plan these in. In general, you should be doing diet breaks every 7-8 weeks for a week on caloric maintenance. That's kind of a standard practice now. And also for the refeeds, you can introduce these, let's say, once or twice a month. The way you do it properly, I mean, it's going to be very high carb, very low fat. I have a video on this, how to do it properly, so I'm going to leave that video in the description below for you guys that are interested in this. That'll be kind of everything that we should really care about when it comes to water retention. There's a lot of things we shouldn't really concern ourselves with, and that's kind of what a lot of people get lost in these complicated things, while in reality it really comes down to simple facts like just making sure that it is weight loss, trying out the refeed, trying out the diet break, reducing the stress, chilling out a little bit, have a drink or two if that's what's relaxing you, play some video games, whatever it is, that's probably gonna help you flush out a little bit of that water. Come to a place like this and you're gonna definitely experience a little bit of a reduction of stress, which can lead to flushing out that water a little bit. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Greetings here from an awesome cenote in Mexico, and I'm gonna go continue exploring it, and I'm really enjoying my time here. Hope you guys enjoyed it as well. Let me know in the comments below how this resonated with you, if you find this helpful. Aside from that, make sure to hit that subscribe button below to support the channel, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.